The house on Maple Street, it all started with a real estate bargain, too good to be true. Spacious 2-story home, quiet neighborhood, full of character, the ad read. Translation, haunted. But of course, I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought I was finally going to stop renting apartments where my upstairs neighbors did midnight tap dance rehearsals. When I first walked in, the house greeted me with a dramatic creak, not just a little settling into the foundation creak, but a welcome, mortal kind of creak. The realtor laughed nervously. I laughed nervously. The house did not laugh at all, which somehow made it worse. Still, the place was charming. Big windows, wide staircase, a fireplace that looked like it had swallowed several Boy Scouts trying to light marshmallows. Sure, the wallpaper peeled in places, and there was a mysterious stain shaped like Elvis in the living room ceiling. But hey, character. So I bought it. The first night was uneventful, unless you count the chandelier swaying by itself at 3 a.m. I chalked it up to air circulation. The fact that the windows were closed, the vents sealed, and there was no wind anywhere within a 5-mile radius was irrelevant. By the second night, things escalated. I heard footsteps upstairs, loud, deliberate, stompy footsteps, which would have been fine if I lived with anyone. But since my roommate applications had been rejected by every rational human I knew, I was alone. I grabbed a baseball bat and went to investigate. No one was there, of course, just my imagination, and maybe the ghost of a man who really loved pacing. By the third night, the house and I were no longer pretending. Cupboards opened themselves. Faucets dripped blood-colored water later confirmed as rust, though I wasn't entirely convinced, and the toilet flushed itself in the middle of the night, which is rude even for a poltergeist. Now, most people would run screaming, sell the house, move to a studio apartment above a laundromat, but not me. I was determined to make it work. Real estate is expensive, and besides, the house had personality, so I started talking to it. Good evening, house, I'd say when I came home from work. Creak, it replied. Sleep well, thud. Was it creepy? Absolutely. Did I weirdly start enjoying our exchanges? Also yes. One evening, while I was brushing my teeth, the mirror fogged up. A handprint appeared on the glass, followed by the words, "Get out." I stared, toothpaste foaming in my mouth. "Can we negotiate?" I mumbled. The words vanished, replaced with, "Bring donuts." I spat into the sink. Seriously. The next morning, I placed a box of glazed donuts on the kitchen counter. The cupboard doors banged happily, and the chandelier jingled like sleigh bells. Apparently, my house was haunted not by a vengeful spirit, but by a carb enthusiast. Over the weeks, we reached an understanding. Every Friday, I brought offerings, donuts, cookies, sometimes pizza, if I was feeling generous. In return, the house stopped trying to kill me in my sleep. Neighbors started noticing. "Funny how your lights flicker every time you walk in," Mrs. Thompson said. "And that shadow in your upstairs window, what a prankster." I laughed. She laughed. The shadow did not laugh. Then came Halloween. Naturally, everyone wanted to trick or treat at the haunted house. I decorated minimally honestly. The peeling wallpaper did most of the work, but the house decided to go all out. Kids rang the doorbell, and the house opened the door by itself, fog rolling dramatically down the steps. The chandelier pulsed like a strobe light. Something whispered boo in the vents. I should have been terrified. Instead, I made popcorn and enjoyed the show. That night, the mirror message read, "Best Halloween ever." I replied with a sticky note. "Glad you had fun." Of course, not every interaction was so wholesome. The house had moods. Sometimes it slammed doors when it didn't get sprinkles. Sometimes it locked me in the bathroom until I promised to buy more pizza rolls. Once, it even set off the smoke alarm because I tried to bring kale into the kitchen. But slowly, weirdly, we became friends. A person and their haunted house. Roommates, really. Things took a turn the day my cousin Dave visited. Dave was the skeptical type, the kind of guy who insists Bigfoot is just a hairy camper. He laughed when I warned him not to mock the house. During dinner, he tapped the wall and said, "Nice place. Too bad it's all in your head." The chandelier immediately dropped a sprinkle donut onto his plate. Dave said, staring. "Eat it," I whispered. He took a bite. The chandelier jingled approvingly. Dave never doubted me again. Then, one stormy night, everything went haywire. Lightning flashed. The walls groaned. Doors banged open and shut. My phone buzzed with texts from neighbors. "What's going on at your place?" I ran to the kitchen, where the words on the fogged window read, "She's coming." "She who?" I yelled. The house thudded ominously. At midnight sharp, there was a knock at the door. Slowly, trembling, I opened it, and there stood a tiny old woman holding a Tupperware of cookies. "Hello, dear," she said sweetly. "I used to live here. Just thought I'd stop by." The house shuddered. Cupboards slammed. The chandelier swung wildly. "Oh, hush," the woman scolded. "It's just me, Gladys." Turns out, she was the ghost. Not dead, just really old and slightly terrifying. She'd moved to Florida years ago, but came back every October to check on our house. The haunting, just her messing around. The mirror messages, her trick mirror system she ever bothered uninstalling. And the donuts. I asked. She winked. "Those are for me. The house doesn't even like sugar." I stood there, dumbfounded. All this time, I thought I was living with a donut-loving ghost. Instead, I'd been supplying baked goods to an elderly prankster who occasionally climbed in through the laundry chute. Gladys chuckled, patted me on the cheek, and shuffled out into the rain. The house gave a final creak, almost like it was laughing. Now, months later, I still live here. Sometimes the walls groan, sometimes the lights flicker, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Because you never really own a house like this. You just share it with its creaks, quirks, and possibly a retired ghost lady who shows up for donuts. And every so often, when I brush my teeth, the mirror still fogs up with a message. Last week it said, out of glazed, "Please bring chocolate." The end.